Hello and welcome to the Foxcatcher review. My name's Julian Valance, joined in studio by Racing.com's own Clint Hutchison. Hutchie, how's the weekend? It's still going. Long weekend here in Victoria. Everything good in your world? How's the soccer refereeing going?
We'll talk about that later. Hey, listen, I've had a few weeks or a month that hasn't been great, to be honest. You know when you have that run with a lot of seconds and just things aren't working out for you? So it continued on the weekend. I always look forward to when it's going to end. But no, I thought Flemington played pretty well. We'll talk about that in a moment. Outside of that, I'm tired. I'm in a mood because I was watching the French Open all night.
Oh, now this is good. This is good. Now tell me, now it's gone 6 hours. It's probably one of the greatest French Opens of all time. So you'll be able to tell me what especially happened sort of from 5-3 onwards in the fourth? No. That was the best part of the game?
I literally turned it off at match point, Sinners home, off to bed, already too late. Driving in here.
This is the best part about this, driving in, so you still don't know anything.
Don't check the scores, like it's obvious, right?
Yeah,
he's home. It's match point.
He's 1 in 4.
No. So I've missed the greatest. I've tortured myself for long enough and not got the result. So it was just another loser I backed, really.
Outrageous. Yeah. Outrageous. Yeah, it seems to have been one of the all-time greats. So welcome to Alcatraz.
I don't know if I'll catch up on it. I don't know if I'll watch it.
Yeah, no. You're never going to get that time back. So, no, well played there. Right, let's get into the track intel for Flemington. That's what we're looking at to begin with, punters. Out 8 metres the entire circuit, soft 6 throughout. I thought it raced fairly. Really interesting here, Hutch, because I thought the straight races, the inside lanes were quite good. Now, that could have had something to do with that northwesterly wind that possibly they didn't want to come wide, which we thought probably would be the place to be, and they wanted to get cover. We saw a couple of the races, those horses that did have the cover, probably in particular Salsa Fallow, who just waited, got the gap and went through. And I thought also the circle, leaders knows disadvantage, which is usually a bit of opposite of what Flemington plays. So any thoughts on that?
I just thought it was a reasonably fair track. Yep. I mean, 0 to 5.8 lengths off them at the 600. But the interesting sort of stat with the track was like those inside lanes that you mentioned seem to be the spot where most of them came from. So I think those lanes 1 to 6, I mean, you could win on the fence. I don't think necessarily, any massive pattern, but it seemed hard to sort of get back, come right around.
It did seem that way, and that could be because the out 8 metres and soft. We sort of said that in the circle races on Thursday, that possibly might happen. But I think it's just one for us to continue to think about because we actually thought on Thursday that outside lanes would be the place to be for the straight races in particular. And I just think the wind, I think to get that northwesterly wind, we know the westerly is a headwind into the straight, that maybe the jockeys are just loath to come out and get it hit in their face. They want to be in behind them. So worth noting if we ever get that again, punters. That was the intel for Flemington. All right, hen house here. Hutch, there's a few here because I think there's a few horses that I think might be able to go right on with it. We're going to start with race 5. The winner was 0-2 Good. 1.5 seconds inside standard time. Now, the last 400, 200 is a little bit soft compared to the rest of the day, but when you're going 1.5 inside standard time, this is the race of the day by far for me, and I think you agree?
Oh, rated through the roof. Yeah, I'm sort of more speed figures and ratings, and when you get that sort of speed in an event, it really puts up a big number, and it's an amazing effort to travel like that, win like that. I think it's also indicative of how the track was playing. Because that 0-2 Good, she probably should have been a lot more vulnerable off that speed, and in the straight because they went very hard in this race to the for the first sort of mile or 1,000 metres, whatever it was. Leading to the 600. So that was an incredible performance. Of course, I dropped off 0-2 Good, was happy to take it on over the mile, but it was good to see her back. They did say post-race that she'd had a few little issues leading into the Sandown run. So, look, now she's back. I don't know. I was sort of questioning whether or not she'd see our strong mile. You couldn't get a harder run mile than this, and she's been powerful. How much of that was a bit of the pattern we'll tell in time, but you still got to be good enough to win.
Yeah.
We get a good line through Jimmy the Bear. He's hyper-consistent. So I'm trusting her. She's a horse to follow.
Yeah, and we sort of spoke about this on our first up run, which was really good, wasn't it? It was in a race that she wasn't suited. I think it was 1,200 metres, and we said, look, this is the horse to follow. And we thought maybe the Winter Championship final, which would be first week July. I don't know if they're going to go there or not, but you'd think that's probably a pretty good target, you would think. And then you're right, that second up run was a little bit flat. The market wanted to be with her heavily back. She sort of sat on speed, and to be honest, she was really playing the last 200 metres. Now, the fact that you've identified there was a chat obviously on your station suggesting that there were issues there, Love to know what those issues
Would have been
were.
great to know what they were. We'll find out in due course, I suppose.
But they've knocked it out of her, so that was good. So I think now we can trust her going forward that that number's real. So she's got a really good race in her. Jimmy the Bear was an interesting one. He was on the quick 7-day backup, and maybe just because they did go so fast, he was a long way out of his ground. Like he just couldn't – he was so far – that piece of string, he was so far out of his ground. Now he's run okay. But on the 7-day backup, we always think that's just about going to be their run for the prep. So I'm a bit worried about him going forward, just seeing where he sits.
And he'll run his usual race. They don't do much with him. I mean, look, there was some critique or being critical of his ride. I don't think there was really much he could do. I know he was a fair way back, but
it was just
off that speed, he wasn't going to be able to take a spot anyway. And if he had, he wasn't beating her. She was far too good.
Yeah, absolutely. Race 6 is another race I want to look at here. The winner was taken and was heavily back too, but second inside standard time, last 400, 200. Look, they've broken 12 seconds, but I think this is a race, and we're going to get to it a little bit later too, because it's a race that I'm going to set fire to, Hutch, that they just allowed this horse to dictate and control. It just seemed to be able to, once it found the front, and I think it had a wide draw, once it got there, it was gonzo from everyone else in the race.
Yeah, there was a lot of good runs in behind that never looked likely, and because of the tactics or where they mapped, and taking was good.
Yeah.
But like you said, had every possible favour. Yeah. Do you like the overall race? You like taking going forward?
I think the race is going to produce winners. So I think the market's going to gravitate towards it. I'm not saying Taken's going to have this higher level, but I think there's a few other horses around it that might not have been suited by the way that what actually eventuated. And I think they'll come out in 2 weeks' time and probably be the horses that we can back. So I think it's a race from that perspective we can watch.
It wasn't massive with me. So
that's fair.
The jury's out. It's sort of 1-1 at the moment.
I reckon we're going to be in favour of this one. It might be winner only, but I think we're going to be in favour. It's race 8. The winner's Chocolates. 1.5 seconds inside standard time. Look, again, a little bit soft compared last 400, 200, but the winner outstrips the last 200 of the field by about a quarter of a second. It's getting quickly to 2,000. This is only its third run prep. It's a lightly raced horse. It's got so much upside.
What a performance. When I first did this race, I thought, what a horrible race, going forward. And then this particular effort from Chocolates was something special. The runner-up was pretty good, but what I like about the performance from Chocolates was the last 200 sectional-wise compared to the rest of the meeting, enormous, off a decent speed, gaps back to third, good margins. I don't know where the ceiling is with Chocolates. I'm not sure what to do with the runner-up, but definitely Chocolates is a horse that will win some pretty good races, and I'd be trusting going forward. That was a decent win.
It was a really decent win. The bit that I love about it is that I thought going into the race it might be half a run short. Now, again, not knowing the horse, but just when they quickly go from 16 to 2,000, they can be found out a little bit, especially in the last 200. They just don't go through the line that hard. The way this horse went through the line, I was like, wow. Imagine when you get another prep into it. I don't know where they're going to go with this horse, because this is now, you're still running now. It becomes really quickly to get back for the spring. What if I said to you that if it had a bit more work into it, I think it could have won a Queensland Derby.
Oh, look, I think with what we saw in the Queensland Derby, and we'll talk about that later.
We will. We'll get to it. I just think this horse has won a off-Broadway winter race at Flemington over 2,000 metres, might have beaten up against not much. I think it's one that we can really watch that could actually be a player in these big races.
Definitely. And, I think when you go back and see the good horses, as this horse did over a distance that was way too short for it earlier in the prep and run well, the good ones still win those kind of races. You think, now, once fair, they came out and did really well first up over an unsuitable trip. So the good ones sort of do it. Yeah. It's easy afterwards. But no, that win at Flemington was terrific. I thought it was one of the wins of the day. I don't think it beat anything. I think it was an ordinary race as a collective, but an individual performance. Chocolates was terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it in. It's going to be a major player, I think. Let's get to the doghouse. So the races that we think just a little bit worried about going forward. I'm going to start us off with the first race. Guess what? It's a staying race in Victoria, Hutch. Muktamil wins the race on the minimum. A second outside standard time. The last 400, 200's really junky, like 12:35 last 200. And when you're outside standard by that far, you've probably got to be coming home a bit better than that. Well done to the connections of the horse, but there's not much margin there. I'll be really worried about this going forward. But this is just rinse repeat, because they'll probably run around against each other in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And another one will take their turn, probably.
Was one of the few winners that I backed, so I was glad And of course, I took the early price and then watched it drift out.
Which
to
was
$5.
interesting because I thought it was probably going to be the horse that would be backed. Because I was hard against Golden State Warrior, which was that early price favourite. And I thought, well, Muktamil, yes, it's midweek form, but it was on the min. I thought it was the one with the most progression. I thought the market's probably going to gravitate towards it. So I was surprised that it did do that. But it's probably had its birthday.
Right place, right time.
Correct.
Same horses in another couple of weeks. It's a sort of hashtag who cares.
Yep, good. Race 7. Flash Feeling wins the race at a bit of a price, leads half a second outside standard time. The last 400 times okay compared to the rest of the day, but we know these horses, so we've seen them a lot. I don't think they're going to another level here, surely.
The Flash Feeling, leave me out of Flash Feeling. Like, this was so bad on my stuff, the Flash Feeling. I'm like, what? I mean, that's how shocked I am. I had to sort of double check what you were even talking about. No, it was an ordinary race, wasn't it? I mean, time-wise, it was pathetic. What was it? More than 2 seconds slower?
Yeah, it was close. It was close to...
Give me a spell.
Yeah.
How do you run 2 seconds slower than the other race? I mean, what is going on?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Over that distance as well, like 2,000. 2 seconds? Awful race. No, put a pen through it.
Yeah, I think market's going to be against it. So we'll keep those two in the doghouse, race 1 and race 7. If I'd kept going, Hutch would have said a lot more superlatives. Hits and misses here, Hutch. So we'll just go through the market quickly from the PointsBet trading floor and just see if we want to be with these horses going forward, or was it right time, right place, and we probably don't need to be with them again. Race 2, Espana, $9.50 into $5.50, misses. But if you took the early price at that $9 and backed each way, you're probably going okay because it runs second. And it took all the straight for Miss Olay to get past it. Now, the race hasn't gone through the roof, but they weren't far off here.
Disappointed in the overall number of this race, to be perfectly honest. I thought Miss Olay was better than that. I thought I could understand Espana running that well, and I could never kind of work out why there was such a disparity between the two in the market, and the market just sort of cleaned that up. Nice. I like the two horses, and it's one of those races, and occasionally you get them where they don't rate well, but you kind of go,
still want to trust the horses.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You know, it took us a while to learn that with that horse that went to the Cox Plate, and what was that horse of the Hazes that was never rating well with us, and they ended up competing in a Cox Plate last year. That had that really good 3-year-old. Yeah, we won a couple at the Valley. And sort of never really put up a number.
Yeah, and it's a bloody nice horse.
He's a good horse.
And it went to New Zealand, got beaten.
Should have
won the Group 1 beforehand because they rode it really conservative, and I thought if they punched it on speed, they would have won the race. What was it called? Anyway, the punters out there will know the name.
They'll know the name of it.
Yeah, it's a ripper. And then I think it went to Sydney and won a big race.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that horse. It'll be now known as that horse.
My mind is going to be now, ticking.
Now, yeah, you'll ring me at 3 in the morning.
No, before the end of the show,
while you're watching the French Open replay. Race 3, Cindy Falls, $6.50 into $3.90. Had a big run first up the straight, 1,200 metres. Market trusted it. It was really poor. There was a few poor runs in this race, so I don't know, but I thought it was disappointing.
It was disappointing. I thought it jumped and could have held it held a nice spot early, and then the way the race unfolded, it got dragged back. But if it gets the run of the race, Cindy Falls, I don't know if it wins. It was too short in retrospect. I'm looking at that market again. I go, I'm not sure I'll be following her.
Yeah. Race 3, Jazz Affair, 8 into $4.60. I think they wanted to back this horse. It runs unplaced, punters. I think they wanted to back this horse because it was going to be possibly on speed. It had one run. Maybe it had a fitness edge. Again, it came over from Adelaide.
I liked it actually on the stuff on my numbers, and was questioning why I liked it afterwards. But it was pretty ordinary, wasn't it?
It was disappointing. So I think I don't want to be with it next start.
But maybe it didn't like the trip. I mean, it doesn't like the Adelaide-Melbourne thing as much as you do. No, I know you find your levels.
Correct. Race 4, Soft Love, $4.20 into $2.50. They've hammered this horse. It drew wide. It runs second.
Good run.
It was a good run, wasn't it? It was almost like, I don't know, did it see the one on the inside? I'm not too sure. It had to make a really sustained long run out there. So it was hitting the wind all the way. Salsa Fellow comes up along the inside, which I may say as well, and I want to get this out very, very quickly. That call from Terry Bailey to call that winner so confidently was outrageously good, because I looked at it even on the replay going, I'm not so sure about that. He
backs himself.
He does.
He backs himself. Hey, look, he called well.
Of course he did. Brilliant.
It was brilliant. When he's on, he's on.
Yeah,
and that was a great call.
Yeah. Race 5, Jimmy the Bear, we've talked about him. He was $2.85 into $2.05. They hammered him. He was on the quick 7-day backup. He just got too far out of his ground, but he's consistent.
They got him wrong and they got the winner wrong, Too Good, who was
really
a real
soft.
drifter. Like was, I think, $270, $280 out to, $4 something?
I think it was touching $4. Taken, they smashed this, $11 into $4.20. They must have knew there wasn't going to be much speed. They must have knew jockeys probably going to be really negative behind it. They hit their race 7 Euphoric, 10 into $6.50. Miss runs third. Again, if you take the early each way price, you've probably gone okay. I don't know about this. The race has gone poor, so we're worried about that. But second go 2,000 metres, maybe it's going to be best run of the prep. So I'm just keeping asterisks on Euphoric. The only issue I've got with that is the race went terrible.
Euphoric's a money muncher and can, just if you want to lose your money, just keep following it.
Well, I do sometimes enjoy doing that. It makes me feel alive. Race 9, Marble 9, they absolutely nailed this. $10 into $3.60. It hits, gets the job done right on the line. I think it was right spot, right time. It's deep into the prep. That is our hits and misses this week, punters. All right, setting fire to it, Hutch. So this is a race that we just want to look at Flemington that I just think once something happens in the race, whether it be from connections, whether it be from a jockey, whether it be from a placement, you've set fire to your money and you're in all sorts of trouble. The horse I'm identifying here is, again, this is just purely from the start of the race. The horse missed the start, King of Enterprise. I think this is a really nice horse and I think it will be able to win a couple of races going forward. As soon as it missed the start, it was Cactus. Now, it's no one's fault that the horse misses the start. Absolutely. So I'm not suggesting otherwise. But as soon as it missed the start and they had to go back and the way this race was run, the money was going straight into the fireplace.
Absolutely, it was. They got the winner right there, like you said, didn't they? But, I've been told, and for the majority of this time, I think it's right. Horses miss the start, not jockeys, right? And most of the time, some jockeys are pretty good out of the gates. But, with a horse like this, it just stepped slow on the back foot. I don't really think there was much that could have transpired mid-race. I'll just say this, though.
Yeah.
There was a horse in the 3 wide line. CP Murta was aboard, if I'm correct, and off midfield, no speed in the race. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And okay, you got King of Enterprise well back in the field. I think another runner, Detroit City, might have been back in the field as well. Riders just sort of stay there. They go and I think they're thinking, well, if I make an early move and there's no speed, I'll come under criticism. We've got to get that out of the sport. Take off, put yourself in a race, give yourself a chance. I don't care. I'd rather the guy make some sort of a move. Like, they've got to do something.
It's a really good point because think of the Toorak last year, whenever it was, with Antino and Blake took off. Right? And we laud it and we say, how amazing is that and how amazing is that? You know why we laud it? We never see it.
We need to see it more.
Yeah.
We need to see it more.
Yeah.
Don't want to come in, they didn't go quick enough.
Yeah.
We'll do something about it. And not saying that
John Kennedy.
this horse might have had to make a run. And when you got to make a run that way out, you're not going to finish as strongly as you do because everyone sees a closing session and goes, oh, wow. It's not that simple.
Yeah.
You still might peak on your run and you might go.
Yeah.
But I just want to see, when something like that happens, maybe make some sort of a move. But they were a victim of that horse in the 3 wide line, putting itself in just going backwards and doing nothing.
I think you've
doing zero.
You've got CP in the gun.
And must be thinking, is old mate going to creep into the race here?
Yeah.
Is he going to do something?
He's going to do something for us.
No.
Never eventuated. Hence why Taken won so impressively. But King of Enterprise, I think, can win us races. That's setting fire to it. All right, Hutch. Let's look at Queensland. Group 1 review. We've got 3 Group 1s to get through here. So we're going to start by analysing this track at Eagle Farm.
Very interesting, the track.
No, this is good because you've brought some really good gear to the table here. Out 2 metres the entire circuit. The track was a soft 5. Tell me where you needed to be here.
Well, there was I haven't seen many tracks like this where there's a strip, there's lanes sort of 9 to 13 on this track. It seemed like it was
Travelator.
Absolutely A ground compared to the others. Not saying it was A ground, but it was better than sort of out wide of that and inside of that. So there was a strip. 8 of the 10 winners were within 3 lengths. So it wasn't easy to make ground, but it was almost like you had to find that strip first. And that was the key.
Than everyone else.
And then you're kicking away, you're finding that ground. So there's no question and everyone saw it. Everyone knew it on the day. But, if you found that ground, that you were very hard to beat. I think this is a meeting. Be extremely cautious of the form of overall. I think you needed to find these lanes And there are massive forgive runs for a lot of horses that didn't find them.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So for the punters out there, just have a look to see where your horse settled and where it was running in those lanes, because that is gold, because there is no doubt. I mean, that inside was just absolutely
It was no good. None of them wanted to be there, but when we saw bodies of, the field come in, but only a certain amount of runners can be in this strip of ground. Yeah. And then, riders obviously have to sort of try and get into the race, but then quicksand.
Yeah. Let's go through the 3 Group 1s. We'll start with probably what we think might be one you don't want to be pushing too much into. The Queensland Derby. Mason Louis wins the race. I got it 1.5 seconds outside standard, and I'm probably being a little bit kind to it. The last 600 I've got sort of 36.5, which is not brilliant at all. It's not ideal.
There's nothing positive to say about the Queensland Derby generally, I think, can have one or two in there that you think, maybe. I know this race, I worry about the format of this. Yeah. I mean, congratulations to All Connections. I know I'm in a bit of a mood today, but I don't want to sort of knock them off their highs.
Yeah.
But reality check.
Yeah, well, they won a Derby, so take that. Take it to the bank. But
I'm not sure there'll be any other wins for a few of these out of it. The races, time-wise, was awful. I think Mason Louis found, a lot of the best rides of the horse that found that run won these races, even on the day. But well done to Connections. I'm not sure there's much I want to take out of the race. Is there anything in the race that caught your eye?
No, absolutely not. Queensland Oaks was won by Yu Wang. Yeah. It did indeed, and you answered. Half a second inside standard time. The last 400, 200 was really soft compared to the rest of the day. I think the Oaks has gone much better than the Derby. Yeah. Put that into perspective. But in saying that, I don't think this has gone through the roof either. So this is, sometimes, as you've mentioned, the Queensland Derby, Queensland Oaks, you go, okay, they can win their way through to a Caulfield Cup. They can be really competitive. Just don't know if I've seen it here with these 2 races.
The sort of caveat to a lot of that might be, we could look back in 3-6 months, wherever it may be, and go, oh, that was the horse that was back on the inside. Yeah. Oh, that was the horse that was out wide. Like, it's going nowhere near what it's capable of. The few end of prep runs, I thought the Oaks did go a lot better. I thought Benadryl was good. Mark
she
Zara.
She had much luck there, did she, Benadryl?
Oh, well, I just think Mark Zara got it wrong. I mean, Mark Zara, everyone's a massive fan. He's an elite rider.
Yeah.
But something's going on. His last month hasn't been great by his lofty standards.
Yeah.
When the body of the field have all come out, there is an opportunity, and we've sort of said how bad the inside was. He was almost too urgent trying to find the fast lane, and he's strung up in traffic. I think it nearly wins Benadryl, and I was happy to be against it. So it wasn't his normal, he's just a good player out of a little bit of form, I think, in a couple of Group 1s.
Yeah, he'll strike back. I think he ran second in the Derby, and probably wasn't a bad ride on King of Thunder, which probably sort of exceeded market expectation. But I agree with this. I mean, the horse that you could take out is Benadryl, I think, if you were to go, one's possibly going to elevate and be some type of player.
She's got that good form around Treasure the Moment as well, doesn't she?
Correct.
So it was good to see her sort of bounce back, and she clearly had an excuse.
Yeah, well, I think we spoke about it. I spoke about it with Nick on Thursday, in that I think as punters out there going into the Roses, you understood that she won the SA Oaks, so clearly would have been primed for it. It's a Group 1. They were just going to back off her. I think there was 4 weeks between runs into the Roses. Back off her. They were going to be neutral from the gates, probably negative, and just like, whatever happens, to be honest, we're trying, but we don't really give a fuck. And then she was going to lift
You've
again
done
for
well,
the Queensland.
Because I thought, they can't go again. Like they've gone for the SA.
Yeah.
It wasn't like she'd had a light campaign, but
yeah,
she'd be the one, I think, out of the race.
Yeah.
But the Oaks I would trust way more because with the Derby you're starting off such a low base. Like, I mean, how much can you bonus them? How much can you?
No.
Like, the closing sectionals were horrible.
That's the other part too, is like there's just nothing you can really stick your hat to and say, at least I've got something here. There's not really anything there. The older horses, Kingsford Smith Cup was winner by the favourite Joliestar. Look, a fifth of a second inside standard time. The last 400, 200, pretty good compared to the rest of the day, but again, not outrageous, last 600. So she's done a pretty good job. She never really looked like she was going to get there, but she did get there. She's better on a dry track as well. We know her ability. She won a Newmarket here like Farlap. Don't know if he won a Newmarket. But
he probably ran in one. They ran in everything those days.
I think he ran in that, and then the next day he won a 2,000-metre race and then went to American and won the Agua Caliente and then had some arsenic and died. But I don't know if he won a Newmarket. In terms of Joliestar, it was a pretty good effort.
Great win. I mean, she was the class horse in the field. She tipped herself really, as many would have thought. The question was, I suppose, going through most people's minds midway through the day with regard to this race would have been the track, because there was a real feeling the track was on speed, which it was, but it was to those lanes like we said.
Yeah.
So is she going to be able to sort of, rally from back in the field and win? And I love J-Max right early. He got in front of Giga Kick.
Yeah.
He put her about as close as I think she could probably be. I don't think he was in the A ground, and the wheels were spinning early, and then the pace was good enough. They felt it late. She found a better part of the track very late on, and she was 3.7 lengths off them at the 200.
This is really interesting.
So 3.3, I haven't seen many win from that far
in Group
back.
1s too. You can see it in a 64 or something where you
And
know
a sprint.
horses are better. Yeah.
And a sprint.
Yeah, correct.
This is not we're not talking about making up ground with a horse really tiring.
Yeah.
Unbelievable effort from her, but what you'd expect. So look, I don't know. What has she won? 3 Group 1s now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she won the 1,000 guineas down here. She's won the Newmarket, and then now she's won this. And being competitive in Everest and all those kinds of races.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see where her best distance is, because you got that Everest carrot there. That's the 1,200. I don't think 1,200's her real best distance.
Spot,
it's probably 1,400, probably, and 16's probably too far. So I'll work it out with her. I want to get your thoughts on Giga Kick. It seems like he just doesn't have the early speed to find a spot this prep, or maybe that's him now. What do we do with him?
I was willing to be forgiving of the South Australia run because I thought he had a pretty big task.
Yeah, he did.
Put in front of him and with excuses, and he ran, I thought, better there than he did in this race. No, the jury's got to be out. I just don't think he's nowhere near what he was.
No.
And he's had enough chances now.
You can't hide him either, because and I know they got in light in the Goodwood because he hadn't won a race again, so maybe they can happen again and he can be on the min again in the Goodwood if he doesn't win a race. But other than that, his rating's so high. I mean, he's an Everest winner as a 3-year-old. It's always going to be high. He doesn't really have anywhere to hide. He has to be against the
Well, they kind of placed him sparingly and all the rest of it. I know he had that injury, but since then, like being quite kid gloves with him.
Yeah.
Time to put the pedal down now. Have a crack. Yeah. You know what? Run him. Let's see him. Let's toughen him up. Let's get some racing into it.
Yeah, it's a good shout. That was the track stuff and all the review for Eagle Farm. Nearly there, Hutch, in the Fox's Den. So the horses that we're just going to keep an eye on, we think we can put them into our black book. We think they've got a race in. I'll just tick us off. I thought there was a horse first up called It's a Yes. It was in the race, won by Salsa Fallow, and Soft Love runs second. It was first up for a long time. I think I know that it was nowhere near fit. It was not expected to do much at all. They banged it on speed, and I thought it held on really well for fifth. I think next start, screws will be really tightened on this horse, and I reckon we can be with It's a Yes. And then a couple that have just won some maidens. 3 Point Turn, won really well, big number. And Bullish, started like $1.03.
$1.04.
Yeah, which is outrageous, really.
Oh, my God. Can you believe it?
No. 2-year-old, it was against the older horses. We know that's probably this time of the year. The maidens actually go through the roof there, but probably don't exceed market expectation anymore. The bird's flown on that. But it's a nice horse as well.
Yes. Of course, it ran second to High Vol, which is a 2-year-old sort of form that we don't mind as well. So, no, I'm with you there.
What do you got for
I've got a couple from Flemington that I will stick with, and I've got a few that defied the pace or pattern from Eagle Farm. I thought I'd do, but once you got me doing the Eagle Farm stuff, I thought, you know what, let's get into this.
Yes.
So Chocolates is one that we mentioned. I just want to follow Chocolates wherever it goes. It was too good late off a reasonable tempo there at Flemington. That's definitely one. Condolences to Robbie Lang and the team there as well with a passing. Very sad there. And I thought his horse, El Soleado, what a run first up, 1,200 at 50s. It was $51. And we know 14, 16. And once again, condolences to the family. But his last runner there was a terrific one as well at a price.
Eagle Farm?
Eagle Farm. We've got 3 from Eagle Farm. The Tuno. The reason why I liked the Tuno, it was back on the inside in the quicksand. And I thought when it was going to be beaten at the 100, actually battled out pretty well. Now, I'm not sure where they'll go with a few of these horses, but they will be racing up there, I'm sure, and keep following them. The other one was Warney. Everyone would have seen the late burst on this horse. Back really wide, ended up on the right part of the track, but there was no speed in that race. So from a tempo point of view, it was an enormous run. And then not on the A ground, got onto the better part late, but Warney will be very hard to beat wherever they decide to go with Warney. And the other one was Coleman.
Okay.
Coleman, once again, back on the inferior game, also back on the inside, stuck to the guns really well, didn't shirk the task. I think there's going to be a lot of horses out of this meeting that sort of ran against the pattern that you can follow. Those are three. Natuno, Warney, Coleman, all one-worders as well.
Yeah, no, you've come with great energy for that.
Yeah.
So that was good that I just put you into the path of Eagle Farm and you just gripped it, held it, and then just ate it.
Come on, Queensland.
Blood it all.
Well, they need to live Queensland.
They do.
Yeah.
They're in big trouble. That was in the Fox's Den this week. We're done, mate. Footy this week. Been interesting.
How about the Eagles? Can they hit the line? Can they hit the line, Jules?
Didn't they have like some astronomical amount of inside 50s for zero score really there for a while?
Yeah.
It was I actually watched this game. I don't know what I was doing with my life. I don't know what I was doing, to be honest. And it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. Definitely wasn't licking toads. Anyway, definitely not licking toads. How's this for you? This round, 7 of the 7 games thus far have been the unders. Now you took an unders game Friday night, I think. You were never in doubt.
I did.
In the Adelaide.
It was the Adelaide
v Brisbane.
Only because I like.
Well,
the thing is with me,
what rained?
It's an area where you specialise and you're very good at it. I've got to say, watch Jules' stuff. He knows what he's talking about when he goes his overs and unders. But this, more to the point, like I just saw it was sort of raining. I saw what the line was, and I'm like, gee, it looks pretty wet. So that was my sort of in-depth analysis.
Yeah, and that's, to be honest, that's as good as I got. And you got the job done. So that's all you need. But it's really interesting because the lines are still really high.
It was still pretty high when I had the bet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might have even gone down to, say, 145.5. So say for example, it might not have even. Maybe it goes down to 154 or something. But it's still high. I mean, the Geelong Gold Coast game, Saturday, it was heaving.
Yeah.
They've scored 97.
It was never, and that was probably more than what I thought they might score,
and
to be honest with you.
Originally they put up 168.5 or 170.5, right? And then it comes down, but it can't get down that far. They can't get the gap that far. So there is big edges there, big angles, and obviously we're talking about this on Monday morning. So we'll be with the unders with Melbourne and Collingwood, which is 156.5. And you know what's going to happen now. It'll be a scoring frenzy and they'll score 200 each.
I've got a quick question for you, though. So with regard to these overs and unders, so, weather conditions obviously massive.
Yep.
At this time of year, also, most teams have had the bye. So defensively, maybe more onto it. They want to lock it down there. Weather's the worst it's going to be probably throughout the season, and that has to have a huge impact. So do they move – well, I suppose you've answered the question away, but do they move the lines down enough?
Yeah, they don't.
With all those factors?
They don't. And I think no doubt the lines started a little bit lower last round than what they were, but that was because they knew weather was coming, but it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely opportunities. And this week again is going to be interesting because it's rain in Melbourne, but beautiful weather in Brisbane. And the game in Brisbane could be the one where they actually start to bring it down and it should actually be going the other way. So
interesting.
Yeah. And then obviously then you throw in the lid games, the marble games as well, which are under the roof. But you've got to also understand that ground actually is quite heavier than, say, the other grounds. Because obviously there's a lot of artificial in terms of sun and all that kind of stuff that they get. So there's a bit in it, but and then there's the dew point. Don't forget the dew point. So once the dew point comes close to the town.
And you know what? I'm thinking.
You've already zoned out. You've already zoned out.
This is new areas. The footballer that left school at 13 and now he's a sort of meteorologist and giving me updates on the amount of water.
And I don't want to – this is our last show actually for everyone out there, so I will give you this one because footy season's continuing. We'll be back for middle of August when we get back to the Wink Stakes and the Memsie Stakes, and Hutchi will be back to review all Melbourne stuff. But I've also been thinking of getting into the Sherrin factory because I think they add extra lacquering to the ball of the yellow balls so that it looks better on TV.
Well-lacquered balls.
And well-lacquered balls. Yeah, there's probably a show in that. And so that can become a little bit slippery as well. So those twilight games,
when games
that start at 3:20 and 4:10, you've got to be on to that as well. So that's all unproven. So if someone from Sherrin wants to come out and actually investigate me, I just made that up. See you, Hutch. I'll see you in August.
We'll see you in August, pal. Mate.
What are you really gambling with?
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.